And good morning, this is Michael Lodge on the WPT. Wealth, Business, and Taxes, we discuss it every single day. Today we're going to talk about, let's first talk about how nice it is outside. You know, here in South Florida, the weather is changing. And what's good about the weather changing is that it's getting cooler. And I love it when in Florida the weather becomes cooler. I was outside yesterday and I was sitting there and I was noticing how we had this really nice breeze that was coming off the ocean. And in that breeze, it was like this nice burst of fresh air. Last week we were up in the 90s. And it was the high 90s and it was hot. This week we're down into the 70s. Like right now, it's in the 70s, right here in Palm Beach. They'll get up in the 80s, I'm sure. But still, then this morning, I was just sitting out there. I was thinking, gosh, if only I would have brought my cup of coffee, I could have enjoyed it outside. It was absolutely beautiful. Talking to my brother-in-law, not my brother-in-law, but my stepbrother, up in South Carolina. And he said, well, we had to turn on the heat last night because it was chilly. It was cold down in the 40s. I used to live in South Carolina. I used to love those cold mornings. Going out onto the front porch and sitting there with a cup of coffee. And it was nice and cool. The dogs were happy. They saw the squirrels. They chased the squirrels. Leaves were falling. So the fall is the best time of the year. I love it more than anything else because I know that winter's right around the corner. The only problem with fall, when you live in like South Carolina, North Carolina, or any of those northern states, up further north, I mean, is that your fall becomes a land filled with leaves. And I tell you, it's tough keeping up with those leaves. They fall on the roof, they go down to the drains, they fall onto the deck, on the porch, on the lawn outside, and you're constantly cleaning up. And it seems like those leaves never drop all at one time. No, they take their time. And so for months, even during the wintertime, you still have leaves falling. But I do miss it. I do miss that change of season. Here in South Florida, we have, pretty much the same season all year long. Now, I must say that last winter was my first winter here, and it got cold. It got down into the 30s here in South Florida. And I thought people were going to die because they're not used to this cold weather. I love fall. I really do love fall. But what I wanted to talk about today is an important one because there's a lot of people out there with this COVID and stuff that they have been confined within their houses and they have learned how to fight really well. So well that they want to separate. Which I can understand why. But they want to separate. They want to go live off by themselves. So what do you need to do to have a good separation? Well, for one thing, you need to sit down with a mediator and go through the separation rules, okay? That means how you communicate with each other, how you're going to take care of the children, how you're going to communicate with the children, who's taking care of the finances, who's paying for what. It's one of these questions that you need to sit down and make sure that everybody's on the same page as you're going through this separation. Because everybody's mad at each other. Everybody's upset with each other. Everybody wants to fight with each other. And there's got to be a set of rules so that it's more of a peaceful separation than it is a fighting separation. In fact, while you even live together, there should be a set of rules that you should be living by. Especially on the communication part, because I tell you, once you call somebody a name, there's no way to take that name back. That is stuck in that person's head for the rest of their life. And they will always remember what you have just said about them. And you know what the feeling it is when people talk about you and call you names in a relationship. So, this COVID has really taken a toll on marriages and on relationships. And there are individuals, even who are not married, who want to separate and they want to sit down. I've gotten so many email requests to sit down with each other and who's going to take the dog and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. There needs to be that set of rules. I got an email yesterday from an individual who said, there's got to be some rules here, like not locking the door or hiding the key, People go nutso when it comes to the separation part of marriage or relationships. So sit down with the mediator. And in that mediation, go through what you want to discuss. And I guarantee you, so many times, I have given each side, okay, here's your list. I want you to list out what is important to you and what you want to get resolved in this mediation. Do you know that 4 out of 5 of those items are usually the same thing? So if you both want the same thing in the separation, let's agree to it. Let's set some rules. Let's put it in the separation agreement that you do not want him calling you lickety split. Whatever it may be. Get some rules set. Most of the time you're going to agree with each other that this is what you want. I don't want you hiding my key or changing the locks on the house if I need to get something out of there, out of the garage or something. But there's got to be some rules that say, okay, no, in order for you to come to the house, you need to notify me within a certain amount of time. These are rules that you set up. It's amazing to me that individuals lose it completely when it comes to this separation. And the majority of the time, if you're going through that separation, you had better be going through family therapy or marriage counseling or relationship counseling so that you're also setting some rules on this mental anguish that you're opposing or that you're putting on somebody else. Rules are really important when it comes to a separation. I remember one time I had two individuals come to me. And they were, literally at the very beginning, I thought it was a divorce. I literally thought this was a divorce mediation. But as I got into the conversation, I found out that they had not filed for divorce. They were going through a separation and they were going through therapy. They wanted to try to keep the marriage together, but they just could not live together at the moment because they had to work out a lot of different things. So my whole mediation approach changed at that moment. The mediation agreement that I sent to them changed at that moment because it was a separation. It was not a divorce. Now, a lot of times the divorce, the separation agreement does get incorporated into the divorce if it goes that far into divorce. So it gets incorporated into the divorce decree, or it goes back into mediation and things begin to change. You begin talking about assets and finances and everything else. But in the separation, it's setting that rule. Separation agreement is setting the rules of how you're going to deal with each other, how you're going to deal with the finances, how you're going to deal with communication, how you're going to deal with the children, how you're going to do a parenting schedule with that child. That's what it's all about. If you set a separation and agreement, these rules ahead of time, I'm telling you, it's going to make your therapy easier because you've got a set of rules that you're following, and it makes a flow. It makes a consistency within the relationship and within the separation. And that's really what you need. So I encourage every single one of you. I know it's been tough. The finances are tough. The relationship, being in the same house with each other 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know it is tough. I understand that. And you should understand that too. And if you're going to separate, set some rules that you will live by. That's what is so important. I think we all love this. If you're in a really good relationship, you've got consistency, right? You know what the other person's going to do. You know how you're going to say it. You know how you're going to approach them. You know how you're going to deal with religious issues. You know how you're going to deal with children issues because you're consistent. You're on the same page. You're approaching everything together as a team. However, there are situations where, such as COVID, where people have been stuck inside the house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they are tired of each other. They are fed up with each other, and they need to split. Sometimes not permanently. Sometimes it's that time where they just need to be apart so that they can come together again. And that's therapy, that's marriage counseling. But it's also having that set of rules within the separation agreement that will help you tremendously to get to wherever you want to be. Now, sometimes during this part of the separation, you come together again through your therapy or through your religious counseling or whatever method that you're using. Sometimes you come together again and you're ready to start again. But there are other times where these things have been building up for a long period of time, and all of a sudden they clash together, and they separate, and now they're looking towards the divorce decree. They say, I've had it, I don't want it anymore, and I want to move on. That happens. So you have to be prepared. And the separation agreement builds you to that next step of literally putting together a divorce agreement or an agreement to go into a divorce settlement. So during that period of time that you guys are deciding what you want to do, divorce or not divorce, make sure you've got a separation agreement in place so that you know what the rules are. You know what is expected of each other. Consistency of expectations helps every single time. Listen, if you need any help, or if you need to put together a separation agreement, or if you need to have a consult, I do offer a 30-minute consult on mediation. Send me a text at 818-252-5682, 818-252-5682, and I will walk you through the process. But don't get all upset. Don't get all mad at each other. Don't get all steaming, hopping mad. Well, you guys are saying a whole bunch of different things. Sit down and put together a separation agreement and make it civil. Again, my number is 818. My text is 818-252-5682. You can join me on my website, which is www.lodge-co.com. This is Mike Lodge. I'll talk with you very soon. Everybody go out and have a great day. Bye-bye. This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.